Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of Nostalgia Debate. I'm joined today by Groot because his humour's dry and he's basically dead. It's George Sheard.
Oh, that's good, bro. Hey, for context, those listening, watching, right? Cooper spent the last 10 minutes going, oh, I don't know what to say. I need to do a pun. I don't know what I'm going to say. And he comes in with that corker.
Bang. See?
He didn't even say that Groot was tall. You fucking idiot. You missed such an easy opportunity.
He's tall like Groot, humour's
Giant.
dry and basically dead.
Basically dead.
I don't know what that means. I think you may say you're basically dead as a punch that you're like a year and a half older than me. Which makes no sense.
This would be perfect time to like reveal some horrible diagnosis that I've got, isn't it? I haven't, by the way. I'm good.
Yeah, we're all good. Nostalgia Debate lives.
What are we doing today, Cooper?
By the horrific jokes I made at the start, we're going to be discussing Marvel Phase 2. That's why I did try to do Guardians of the Galaxy joke, because it's in Marvel Phase 2. We are back. He is Groot. I am not. We're back with Marvel.
Groot and Ant-Man.
There it is. It basically is as well. It's like the great combos. Dumb and Dumber. Ant and Dec. Groot and Ant. That's a great duo name.
Why is Ant and Dec on your mind?
No, I'm thinking comedy duo. I'm thinking like
yeah,
duos.
I know comedy.
Dumb and Dumber, Ant and Dec.
Ant and Dec. That's it. That's all you.
That's it.
Comedy.
That's it.
Famous comedy duos.
No.
Dumb
Duos, not comedy duos. Ant and Dec on a comedy duo.
Well, you said it, not me.
I meant duos.
Duos. Famous duos. Dumb and Dumber.
Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Hey.
Groot and Ant-Man.
Groot and Ant-Man.
Famously teamed up together.
Yeah. Very famous.
What are we talking about today, Cooper?
Phase 2 of Marvel. Phase 2, we're going to discuss and rank. We did Marvel Phase 1. We're going to move on to Marvel Phase 2.
We did that.
Get our way through all the rest of them.
We ranked
this one should be different. Obviously, it's going to be different. Different movies.
Yes.
We're
going to rank the same films again.
Yeah, we're going to do Phase 1 again. But no, when I say it's going to be different, I am more attached to these movies. Some of these movies are actually some of my favourite movies from that Marvel have done. So, this was around the time when I started to get into Marvel. These were the ones that I saw the majority of these in cinema, or some of these in cinema, and then Phase 3 was when I properly started.
Yeah, for me, my first sort of experience, I think, was, as I said last time, I think it was Avengers Assemble, and that was at home. I definitely watched a few of these. I definitely did watch a few of these, but I think my first proper one was probably Guardians of the Galaxy, or maybe even
the first
Iron
one
Man
I
3.
properly remember. I saw Avengers Assemble, but the first one I properly remember is Iron Man 3. I remember going for a friend's birthday to watch Iron Man 3.
So for those wondering, Phase 2 is Iron Man 3, Captain America: Winter Soldier, Thor: The Dark World, Guardians of the Galaxy, Age of Ultron, and Ant-Man.
Yeah.
So there's 6 films there. Once again, we're going to talk about, and we are going to rank them from worst to best. Are we going to do how we did last time, where we say our ranking, and once we've both mentioned a film, then we'll talk about it?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, because our list near similar, they were near perfect last time. The same.
Almost the same, yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe. Yeah, literally. But no, I think I think number 6 will be the same for us, but it'll be interesting to see higher up where we get to. That's what I'm excited for. Would you like to? Do you want to just run straight into it?
Kick it off?
Should we just kick it off? Just go straight into it with what I think might be the worst Marvel film. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I tell you what, I'll let you go on that tangent, considering you slagged off Incredible Hulk last time, and you were like, "This is the worst Marvel film." So you're just gonna you've made a fool of yourself.
Well,
you're wrong. Actually, I said Thor: Dark World, and you were like, "Yeah, but Incredible Hulk is worse." And I was like, "You're fucking wrong." Anyway, what's the worst Marvel film of all time, Cooper? Go on.
Thor: Dark World's my number 6.
Thank you. So is it. It is for me as well. So is it. Fucking what am I talking about? Thor: Dark World is sick because it's not very good. I don't know if it's the worst of all time, but it's.
What would you say is worse than Dark World?
Not much. I don't want to just slag it off for no reason, but I didn't watch it for a long time, and I went back and rewatched it. I went back and watched it for the first time, but years after I'd seen Ragnarok, after I'd seen Endgame. And I went back and watched it for the first time. And yeah, thing is, I can see why people didn't like it. I enjoyed it for what it was because I was expecting it to be so terrible. But at the end of the day, Thor: Dark World sort of commits the worst crime of any sort of Marvel film. It's boring. There's nothing really memorable about it. It's really forgettable. That's the problem with that film.
Because last time I watched it was when I watched all of them in order. And I say it's the worst Marvel film. I remember liking it more than I thought I would, but that's because I think it was such low expectation. And probably the same now. Like, I've got such low expectations from it, I'd probably enjoy it. But it's forgettable. Like, I remember it having something to do with the Infinity Stones, that Jane Foster gets one of the Infinity Stones.
I hadn't even remembered. I just
body.
remembered Chris Eccleston being the villain in it.
Is he?
Yes, you knob. Of course
I couldn't
he
tell you.
is.
I don't even remember who the villain is.
Christopher Eccleston,
Who's he play though?
the Doctor.
No, who was he playing? I know that. Who does he play?
He shows up in the film and he's like,
People
leaving nappies in parks. Heaton Park is disgusting. Do you remember that?
Nope.
Where he's like, I hope the planet turns around and shits on you.
Nope.
Remember we said that? Do you know the reference I'm making?
Not a clue.
Nope. He was in Thor: Dark World, though. He was the villain in that film, which is brilliant because it's such a terrible film, and what a shame to waste a brilliant actor like that. You got a photo?
Is that him?
Chris Eccleston?
I did not realise that's him.
Yeah.
I did not realise that was him.
Yeah. It is. Of course it is. You can see it's him. Can't you? And the weirdest thing happened. Did you see the deleted scene from this film with him?
No.
Did you not?
No.
There's a bit.
I did not know this was him.
Obviously, this character dies at the end of the film, right?
Yeah.
I can't really remember exactly how, but he does, and he falls onto the floor. Right, it's after he apparently dies.
Yeah.
It's a scene. He falls onto the floor,
Oh.
and then someone picks him up, and he's played by David Tennant. Very strange. Very strange. I don't know how. Yeah, it's very odd.
Crazy.
But yeah,
Tiny
sorry.
wimey shows.
Shows how much we love Thor: Dark World that we have to immediately talk about something else.
I didn't know this was Christopher. I'm not gonna lie. I
Yeah.
did not know this was Christopher Eccleston. But then again, I don't actually remember the villain.
He's got smooth skin in this. He's got like really smooth white skin.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of like moisturizer.
Elven
elven ears. He's basically yassified.
I just don't. I truly don't remember. I don't remember this villain at all. Like,
and there has the answer for why Thor: Dark World is on our sixth place here is because it is forgettable. I sort of got some enjoyment out of it. There's some stuff in there. I think the weakest part of those Thor films are the human side of things. That little family of humans. Natalie Portman's a good actress, but like,
I really like Natalie Portman's Jane Foster. I really enjoyed her character.
Kat Dennings, Stellan Skarsgård, who I like in every other film I've ever seen him in, bar any Marvel film. I just think he's pretty boring in Marvel, but he's a great actor. Like he's like Baron Harkonnen. He's fucking great in Dune. Have you seen? You've seen Dune?
Honestly,
You've not seen
either of them.
What?
No, I haven't seen them yet. Not had. Nope. So
Damn.
I'm gonna watch them, but I've just not
Damn.
read them yet.
So you haven't seen the bit of Stellan Skarsgård in a bath or
Nope.
floating in the air? Okay, cool.
Nope.
Well, you got that to look forward to.
Because I've got that to look forward to.
Yeah, it's very
but
good.
yeah, Thor: Dark World. I just don't remember. So
I think the stuff with Loki's interesting, but it's just kind of repeating the first film with him sort of faking out his death. I think the stuff with the Infinity Stone is interesting and it sort of needs to be there, but they could have done a lot more with the sort of, because it's the Reality Stone, isn't it? They could have done a lot more with that.
yeah, the red. Yeah,
It's the Red Stone.
red
So,
one.
but they could have done that more with that, because when do we next see that? Infinity War.
Probably Infinity War. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're like, well, what have we done with that?
Because does it get locked? It gets locked away, doesn't it, at the end of the movie, and then
I just wish they'd done more with that. That's all. But that's fine. And then I'm trying to think what else is going on in this film. Not very much in terms of like character development. It's just kind of like doubling down on what we already know from Thor 1, but it's sort of just like that sort of post Avengers world where some of it has to take place on Earth as well. Even though the first Thor did, but that being in a desert kind of worked. I think this film had a bit more freedom to go out there and do a lot more of the Asgard stuff. Instead, it sort of still lingered on Earth. Like the final battle was still like in London.
Is this the one where at the start Loki's pretending to be Odin? Is that this one?
No, that's Ragnarok.
Is that Ragnarok?
Yeah.
Ragnarok. It's so hot. I need to rewatch it. I should probably rewatch the Thor movies. But yeah, this one I genuinely just don't remember. It's blatantly obvious. I just don't remember it. Like I remember the Infinity Stone because it's like Infinity Stone's in it. There you go. Like that's kind of what you get out of it. It's you discover one of the Infinity Stones.
Yeah. No, it's fair game. That's fair game. But I don't really have anything more to say about Thor: Dark World. Sorry to all the two Thor: Dark World stands out there. We've not watched it in a while and don't care because it's forgettable and it was a bit of a shit film. So, lol,
It wouldn't be
have fun with that.
And watch.
Yeah, no. So I think number 5. What you cooking?
My number 5 is Iron Man 3.
Interesting.
Yes.
My number 5. My number 5 was that, but I've changed it to Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Okay, my Age of Ultron's number 4.
My number 4 is Iron Man 3.
Okay,
so let's
Iron Man 3
let's talk about Iron Man 3 first,
yeah.
Even though I think that's better than Age of Ultron. But I think Iron Man 3 gets a lot of flack. I think it gets a lot of flack for what it is.
I don't hate it.
Look, it's one of those ones that's like hated almost as much as like Thor: Dark World. But when I went back and rewatched it, I have to say, it's really good.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the difference between Dark World and Iron Man 3. It's a very big jump.
Big leap. Like Iron Man 3 is very nuanced in terms of the story it tries to tell. I like the fact that it takes Tony Stark away from the technology, puts him in that little town with that kid. Like all of that is really good. And
has one of the best payoffs later on with the kid.
I can't believe it does. And then also it's like people see it as the whole thing with the Mandarin, right? And I understand that fully. Like the whole like fake out of that villain, of course, yeah. But I think in a way, especially like looking back on that in hindsight, it's like it's a very clever way to play on the stereotypes of a very American audience by creating that sort of figure to then swap it out and be some rich asshole with powers, right? Who's using this guy as like an actor to sort of play into that. And in the film, it's sort of playing into the fears of the American citizen. And I think that's really clever by using the sort of imagery seen in sort of terrorist culture. And it's very strong, very evocative, very powerful. And maybe the villain wasn't as strong as what that could have been if developed properly. However, I think people overlook a lot of key elements about this film, which are really, really good. Like, Tony Stark has quite clear PTSD in this film, and it's a big part of it that never ever gets talked about. There's a fantastic scene where I think Tony Stark has like a panic attack in a diner.
Yeah, it is in this. Yeah, it is in this one. Yeah,
and the kids come up or something, and they've got like a drawing of him, because like what it does is it takes the events of something like the Avengers and or Avengers Assemble. Where Tony Stark is like firing the rocket into space, he's flying up and he's in space and he's stranded very briefly and thinks he's going to die. And coming back from that, he, like that could be played off very simply as, oh God, he did it, he's fine. But I love the fact that this film decides to go, no, we're not going to do a sort of campy, fun, whatever Iron Man film. It's actually going to be a deep character study about his reaction to that, his response to that, the PTSD that comes from that. He's seen as a superhero, but he's really struggling. I mean, he struggled with like alcoholism in Iron Man 2. There's a lot of really great elements through these films, and I think Iron Man 3 deserves a lot more credit for what it does.
I think it's also a credit to Robert Downey Jr. as he plays.
He's incredible. Yeah, he's really good.
But the PTSD and stuff in this one as well, like losing the technology, he plays it so well.
Having a panic attack and then like running into his like suit. As like an escape. Like this, it's so like nuanced. Little ideas like that are very clever, very well thought through.
Like just the way that he plays, like the PTSD and the trauma kind of side of it, it's incredible 100%. In this movie. But yeah, it's one of those. I genuinely, I would go back and watch this movie, like not watching. 100%. Even if I wasn't watching, I'd go and watch it on its own. The final scene with all the Iron Man suits and stuff still so iconic and
that's
so
great.
Cool
What a great idea of using all that as
it's
well.
It's such an amazing idea, yeah.
Although they try and like bookend it, but I love the bit where Tony Stark's sort of like locked up and he's sort of waiting for the Iron Man suit to arrive and he's like strapped to that thing, and then that combat scene's great. Like the choreography's very good, the story's different and interesting. They could have just done another Iron Man film, and I will say none of the Iron Man films have compelling villains for me, but this was probably the most personal, and I think even though it's not my favorite, I still like it. I just think it's like look, I don't love it as a film, and that's the other thing. Is like it is a bit like Dark World in a sense where it's got a sort of forgettable element to it. But I've got to say, like, the stakes feel real in this film, and you can really tell the difference between. And I love Jon Favreau. We've talked about him enough. Yeah. But his work on Iron Man 1 and 2 is great. It kickstarted the MCU, but this was great to have this by a different director because it's a great film, and it's
just a different vision, isn't it? It's like
completely.
You've had two fun. You've had it's almost like you've had the Playboy. You've seen Playboy Tony Stark, and this is kind of the first proper time that you actually see Tony Stark when he's not this big Playboy character. You actually see he's not Iron Man. You see him as Tony Stark, which obviously you like, but you see him as this. You see him as a human. Like you do what you were saying earlier. Like he's a superhero, yes, but in here you don't see him as this superhero. You see him as the human who is the superhero. Like you see behind the curtain. Which I think is great.
It's a really interesting character study, and even though it didn't stick the landing in every single place of the film, I think it does get underlooked. underlooked. It gets overlooked. Underlooked. It gets overlooked quite a lot because it's one of those films that is a bit more forgettable and does deal with more serious themes. And I think because of that, it sort of doesn't really get the credit that it deserves. I think it's a very good film.
I still do. I do as well. Like, it's
and I
me
thoroughly enjoy it. Yeah.
Me putting it here, I'm not saying it's terrible, but it's just like it's still like I'm saying, I'd go back and rewatch it. It's still a great film. It hasn't made like again. All the acting in it's great. The story's really good. Like it has that moment at the end with all the Iron Man suits, which I still love to this day. I think it's so cool. And it's nice to have it's almost like a restart for Tony Stark, isn't it? When you just search all the suits and stuff, it's great. But yeah, it's a nice bookend.
I think there's loads of elements of this film. The sequence of the plane and he's like saving all the people and carrying them all, and that's brilliant and that's really clever. There's a lot of great superhero-y sort of moments in this, and I think that's it's great.
Even the sort of the kid's so good in this, and even like really, all really that good. Payoff, like seeing him in Endgame later on, it's such a good, it's such a nice payoff in the end.
It's very, very good.
Yeah, Age of Ultron, Avengers, again. Age of Ultron. There we go. I really like this movie. And I watched it. I saw this movie for the first time when I actually watched all the Marvel movies in order.
Really?
Ultron, still to this day, is probably one of my favorite villains in the MCU.
I think they could have done it so much better. I hate the silly little CGI face he's got. I know that's the point.
It doesn't bother me that much.
It annoys me because I feel like you could have got... I know it's like to show emotion and all that sort of thing, but I hate the fact that it's like that in a way because I'm sort of like, well, actually, I would have preferred to say... I love the bit where it's like the Ultron drone and he's sort of like a zombie and he's got that sort of voice coming through. That's so much more creepy and interesting. From a character perspective, it's a lot more interesting. I kind of wish the film had just gone in a slightly different direction because I feel like a lot of what they're trying for kind of, I don't know, it's clever, but there's something missing. It's missing something key that I can't work out. I think the introduction of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver is interesting. I think the introduction of Vision is interesting. And I'm glad they do all that in this. And I love the final battle, but it feels very like, I don't know. It feels like a step down from the first Avengers, and I can't help but feel like that's.
I don't think this is as good as the first Avengers.
No,
I still think Avengers Assemble is better than Age of Ultron, without a doubt. I don't think it's close.
I think Age of Ultron is the weakest Avengers film, and I think when you can compare it to so many other team ups in the MCU,
probably definitely is.
You sort of look at it and go, well, this isn't. It just doesn't hold up in some areas. I think the guy I can't remember the guy who plays Ultron. He's a brilliant actor though. He's in The Office as well. Just something Spader, something like that. I think
Ultron, I'd love. I just think like he's one of those villains where it's kind of relatable what he's talking about. Yeah,
excellent actor, really brilliant, and I absolutely love what he brought to the character of it, and that was all great. I think it's just the sort of CGI work, and I think the jokes were a little bit sort of too much, and it started where MCU started to really lean into that sort of weird sense of humor. You know, the whole thing where there's like Cap swearing. And then, like, Ultron actually it's like slicing someone's arm off, and then being like, "Oh, sorry, oh." It's like, what the fuck? Like, be serious. You know, Thanos wouldn't do that, and that's why Infinity War and Endgame works so well because it does take itself seriously. It does back itself. This feels like it's trying to justify being a bit silly, and I'm like, you can be silly, but double down. Like, try and take it seriously. Take yourself seriously, and I think that's when it would be stronger. I just think the story of it's like, they're trying to grow Vision out of an Infinity Stone, and then Ultron would put his consciousness inside that, and I'm like, yeah, cool. But I'm like,
I love it because
I don't know. I'm just sort of like,
so much like.
But you think of the set pieces, it's just not the same, is it? It's like, I know they had to do something different, but I just.
It has great like setup and longevity. Like it sets up some. Like, obviously, Scarlet Witch, it sets up Vision, first introduced in this movie, using Jarvis as the subconsciousness. Is it the Sokovia Accords? Is that what it's called? Like, the law, yeah.
It's the Battle of Sokovia, yeah.
Yeah, that's like, those come from this, which will play a massive role in kind of like this arc of the MCU leaning forward. I really like it. Like I said, yeah, Ultron's my main standout because I really like him as a villain. I like that he's one of those relatable villains. I think he's cool. Like I said, his voice acting is incredible. Like, the acting work for it's incredible. The scene when they're in like the church bit and like the camera's moving around, and yeah, it's sick.
I just think, I think for me, if you're gonna, I mean, they were a bit too early for it, to be honest. But especially nowadays, looking back on it, how much more interesting would it have been to see the sort of deterioration of an AI's thought process as it develops, with the mind of Tony Stark behind it and Jarvis. It's like, it would be interesting to see, instead of it just being like, oh, it's evil, or it like happens in like a minute. Like, I want to see over time this sort of degrade where it really questions itself. It really questions its purpose and its life. Westworld, example, right? Handle AI in a clever way, and you've got an all-time classic. With this, it felt like they were just going, "Oh, he's AI. Oh, he's evil. He hates humans." It's like, okay,
it would have been quite cool if Ultron was like the beta for Jarvis that was made by like Tony Stark's dad, and it was like he finds it, and it's like this deranged kind of psycho like AI sense that.
But I think it's sort of like, you sort of learn it, and maybe it is like a servant or something, and then it's slowly, over time, we see it. And I mean, I'm not saying you can do that in a film. You can have that as the whole first act, instead of it just snapping to life and becoming evil, and we just see all the Avengers at a party. We get more time developing Ultron as a villain. Why should we care about him? You know, like, we care about Loki because there's history. We had the setup in Thor, and we have, you know, the setup for Thanos for the other ones. It's like, for big villains, I think you need more of a setup. Iron Man 3 probably should have done something in hindsight to do with Ultron. Should have had some sort of development there, because then you have the setup you need to come into this film and be like, okay, here's the situation. Ultron's all good, and then that's when it deteriorates. So we get to see the calm before the storm. With this, it's like, oh, they have an idea, they'll do it, and it didn't go to plan, solve it. But
this is a crazy setup movie. Like, it has so much stuff. Scarlet Witch, Vision,
but I don't know.
Accords,
the thing is, you have to sort of think. I understand this whole thing of the MCU setup is incredible. I don't think a lot of this is.
I'm not saying I'm not saying it is.
You know what I mean?
I'm not saying it is good. I'm not saying it's good setup, but like introductions slash.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course.
So there's this is also the post-credit scene where they try and lift up Thor's hammer, isn't it?
No, that's in the film. That's just like at the beginning of the film.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. This is like when they like with Captain America being like, he can pick up Mjolnir. Like that's in it as well. Like this, it almost feels like it's not a filler movie, but it kind of feels, you can kind of argue that it's just to introduce these characters and do these things.
It's to serve a purpose.
I still enjoy watching it.
Still good, don't get me wrong, but it's like sort of serving a purpose. And I think when I saw this, that was sort of my point of going, I'm not really sure if this is my thing when it was coming out. And it was only, I think, I clocked out at probably one of the better Marvel films, and that's crazy. Like, I watched it in cinema, and I was like, this is probably it for me. I don't really care.
Wow.
And that was Civil War.
I watched Civil War.
I watched Civil War, and I was like, this isn't for me. I don't care. But I also just didn't get what it was trying to go for and the nuance of it. I think I just wanted like some daft superhero-y thing back then, and now I'm like, oh, I appreciate what it's trying to do, and it's somewhat successful at that. Age of Ultron, though, sort of any sort of wrapping thoughts for me? Like, I don't think it's a bad film by any means. I think it's good. I just think it's hard to put it any higher because I love the other films in this list really. And Iron Man 3 I wanted to put higher simply because of its nuance and the fact that I think it is very underrated, criminally so. Whereas Age of Ultron is just sort of fine, and I think everyone agrees that it's fine. But
I don't think Iron Man 3 deserves. Like when it first came out, I don't think it deserves the hate that it gets. Like,
no, not at all.
So disliked, but I don't see that at all. Yeah, I don't see why it's so disliked. What is your number 3?
My number 3 is your film.
My Ant-Man.
Your little Ant-Man.
My poor little Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
My number 3 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Ooh, based. Love that. I was worried you were going to put that first, so I'm impressed.
No.
Number 2?
I like Captain America. My number 2 is Ant-Man.
And mine's Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm so glad we've got the same number 1 because I can't wait to gush about that film. But yeah,
we'll get onto it when it's.
Let's talk about Ant-Man first, then.
Yeah, we can do Ant-Man first. I love Ant-Man. I remember seeing Ant-Man when it first came out and absolutely loving it. I love Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd's great in this role. Yeah,
he's so good, and I think genuinely, still this day, I enjoy this movie every single time I watch it.
The thing is with Ant-Man, it's a breath of fresh air because the MCU didn't really know what it wanted to do. I would argue, actually, bit of a hot take, but I would argue that Ant-Man is the mold for what the MCU became after that. The style, the way it's shot, the way it's performed, the way the jokes land, the sort of colour palette, everything about that Ant-Man film feels like a modern MCU film. Whereas before that, you look at it and they're being experimental. Like Phase 1, they didn't really know what they're doing and they're trying everything. And it's like Age of Ultron's trying, but it's not really quite there. Iron Man 3 is more dark. Thor: Dark World is kind of like trying to be really gritty and serious. Guardians of the Galaxy is kind of wacky and spacey. Winter Soldier's like a serious drama.
Yeah, all the Captain America.
This is fun. It's a superhero introduction. It's a new superhero introduction that's getting their own film, and it's very good. I can't knock it. I do have good memories of watching this film. I think I didn't watch it when it came out. Again, I didn't really go and see it in cinema. I remember seeing it in school. I remember it was one of those ones that they would play in like English on like a sort of Christmas break-up day. I always watched like the first half an hour or the first like 45 minutes of the film, and then I want to watch it after because it was quite good and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Paul Rudd's fantastic in it.
He's unbelievable.
And the story's fun. The story's interesting.
The story's
exploring a new world. The superhero, the kind of power is very new.
Yeah, it's even like it's one of those things we spoke about before. Is like I loved it when they would do superheroes that I hadn't heard of. Like you move away from your standard Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man, and this was one of those examples of a superhero that I'd not heard of prior to the movie coming out, and it was like a nice surprise.
Oh, really? You hadn't heard of Ant-Man?
I'd not heard of Ant-Man before the movie came out.
I remember like Ant-Man used to be in the
I never
Avengers
watched,
like
the
animated stuff when I was like really young.
It.
But he used to be like giant. That was always his thing. He was never small. He was always giant. So it was always like giant man. Is what they say. So it's like, really
it's a fun movie. It's a good story. Like the Wasp is I think it's a good villain. Killer Wasp.
No.
Yellow Jacket. Yellow Jacket, Killer Bee.
Killer Bee, Wasp.
Anyway,
Killer Bee.
Wasp somewhere. Wasp's the girl, isn't it? Yeah. But it's a fun movie. It's I like having like the family aspect with Paul Rudd, with Ant-Man.
Possibly the only good Ant-Man film.
I think it's the best Ant-Man film.
Yeah.
Ant-Man, I don't know.
Ant-Man and the Wasp is ass. Let's be fucking real. It's awful.
It's bad. It's not as bad as when I first watched it. I hated it. I really watched
just
it.
Nothing.
It's better than I remember.
Just completely fucking nothing.
Did you watch Quantumania?
No.
Good.
I still need to see it.
I feel so sorry.
I do need to see it at some point, but I don't want to. And I think we will see it because we'll end up talking about the future phases of Marvel. I've not watched anything past Phase 4, I don't think.
You'll appreciate Ant-Man and the Wasp when you watch Quantumania. You'll wish you were watching Ant-Man and the Wasp.
What do you mean? I really want to see a giant floating distorted head get killed by ants.
Honestly, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. Because we will be here for the next 30 minutes if we start on Quantumania.
All right.
We will save that for when we get to Quantumania.
All right. That's to be exciting. That's exciting because I know nothing about it because I've seen the trailers and stuff, but I didn't go and see it because it got terrible reviews. But yeah, first Ant-Man, great, solid film. I love.
I think it's a great setup. It's a great start as well.
Great setup.
Yeah.
Great, introduces a lot of new sort of abilities and stuff, new characters. Hank Pym as well, some great flashback sequences. And I think the final fight's great. Very clever use of the whole Ant-Man thing with their sort of like the Thomas the Tank Engine thing and stuff like coming when they're on the sort of toy train track.
Even like having them go small and big and like the jumping around, like it's such a cool idea for a power as well.
Even like, the family dynamic as well. Even like with even the family dynamic of Scott Lang's like life and stuff. I think is super interesting.
Yeah, I think it's potentially like a perfect starter introduction movie or very close to. I think it's one of the best introduction like first of a trilogy movies we have, without a doubt.
I agree completely.
Yeah. Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier is an interesting one. So Winter Soldier is one of those ones that I think everyone seemed to have watched this and loved it, and I'd never seen it for a long time until I did a sort of Marvel watch through.
Same.
And yeah, I mean, it's a great film. It's a really great film. It's a really great sort of spy thriller. It really delves into the whole like Hydra stuff. I think the setting is so really, really great. Like, there's a lot of like setup and payoff in this film, for the from like character perspectives, but also like Captain America kind of adjusting to this life. The introduction of Falcon, the Scarlett Johansson's pretty good in this film as well. I think a lot of the story, again, it's that whole thing around Hydra that I think is really interesting with this, and that sort of that it's really trying to take itself seriously, and I really respected that. It sort of felt like what a second Captain America film absolutely should be. I think the Captain America trilogy is probably one of the strongest standalone superhero trilogies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, even if the third Captain America film is just Civil War, and it has everyone in anyway. It's a bit of a cheat, but even still, 1 and 2 are excellent, and I think they're almost flawless in certain aspects. I think Winter Soldier isn't one that I like rush to revisit. I think I actually have only ever seen it once, and I did really enjoy it. But I think
there's something with the Captain America stuff. Is Captain America's supposed to be like this? I was in the first one. He's like this promotional guy. He's like hey, come and fight for your country. And it's supposed to be like not happy, but it's supposed to be like the joy bringer. There's something about taking that and making all 3 of his movies really gritty, especially this one.
Yeah,
making them gritty and of a darker tone that fits and works so well, like so well.
It takes itself seriously, and that's what I said. It's like I respect when films in this universe can back themselves and go, look, we're going in with this. They stay away from the comedy in this one, and I appreciate that. They keep it on theme, on genre. Is this the Russo brothers?
I actually don't know. It might be. I wouldn't be surprised if it is.
I think it probably was, wasn't it?
It probably is.
Yeah.
Unless did they do?
Yeah, they did both. Yeah, Russo brothers did this. It was their first Marvel film together, and yeah, fair play. And that's obviously why they were brought back for Civil War, and then obviously the 2 Avengers films, and yeah, they were great. They absolutely did what they needed to do, and it worked beautifully. So fair play to them.
Having all the stuff with Bucky Barnes, having Bucky come back and be like this villain, like such a gritty villain, like having that reaction, you realize who it is. It's so good, so good. Bucky is such a good character. Winter Soldier's so good. Or what is he? White Wolf now? Grey Wolf now?
I don't know what he's. I don't know. I'm not following it.
Something like white. I think it's White Wolf. It's something like that in the newest MCU. But he's such a good like villain-esque character. I love good villains. I love the movies that have really good villains and really compelling. I know he's not the main villain, but like, it's kind of like it gives Chris Evans and the Captain America character that room to play off and to really show like that emotion of. We've seen the emotion of him waking up, however many years later it is, but this is like a proper heart-wrench moment. Yeah. This is also the movie that you see Peggy Carter in when she's really old. That's this movie as well.
Yeah, and it's also the one where
he goes and visits her,
chat up her niece and stuff as well.
Yeah, it's this movie. Yeah, but you can see that like not the daughter, the niece, whatever it is. The like having the stuff with Peggy Carter in this, like seeing that's kind of one of the first moments you actually realize, oh shit, it's actually been that long.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
To see that that pain with him of who he is now, and also then introducing Bucky and having this like having another thing that he has to like another tie. Like it's almost as if he wants to forget not forget the past, but he's trying to live in the present. But all these things keep popping up and keep showing up with Bucky, and it's just and Hydra as well. Hydra's such a good like continuous villain for Captain America.
I love the scene in this. The bit that I really like in this is when they have the computer AI, the old like Hydra
when he
AI
goes underground
computer of the
scientist.
What's his name? Toby Jones's character, the scientist who's like in this sort of like artificial intelligence kind of thing that was made in like 40s Germany. I love it because it's so like aesthetic to that era. It's very Indiana Jones actually, which I really like.
It's this. It's been a while since I watched the movies. It's also this one where you discover about the other super soldier programs where they go. Is it this one where they go underground and you see like the cylinders that have had the people in, where they've been like stasising super soldiers? Yes. I remember it being. It's this movie. I'm pretty sure it's this movie.
I honestly can't remember, to be honest. It's been a while since I've seen it.
But yeah, like because of Bucky's like that, like the wiping the memories for Bucky and stuff like that. It's so good, so good. It's a beautiful movie.
It's a great film. I think it's one of those ones where it's just sort of. It has a status for a reason. It is one of the most renowned Marvel films for a reason. It doesn't really get talked about much now, but I think it is great. And I think you can watch it almost like a Mission Impossible film. Like it's a modern day sort of spy action thriller. And I think it works really well in that. But I think because it doesn't fit into the wider sort of continuity as well. I mean, it still does, obviously. It's still happening. Yeah. But what I mean is it doesn't fit into the style aesthetically. Like it's not I doubt like Captain America 4 is gonna be anything like this. If it is,
I doubt it.
Then amazing. Like well done for them for trying out a new genre again, and hopefully, given how poorly recent projects for the MCU have gone, that they will actually try and do something a bit more experimental like this and make a proper gritty spy thriller. I mean, they tried to do that a little bit with Secret Invasion, but it was fucking boring. So that's fun.
I watched the first episode.
Yeah, I watched the first episode as well, and I've seen clips from it, and I saw Emilia Clarke with a big arm, and I thought, no.
Oh yeah,
no.
I can't remember what the character's
called.
Called.
Big Drax arm.
Yeah.
Strange.
It's like the copy boy. I think it's Super Skrull. I can't remember. But yeah, it's different as well from all the Marvel movies that came before. It's refreshing, and yeah, it was. I think again, like you were saying, it's a perfect sequel for Captain America. It's a great. It nicely slots into the MCU, having characters come in, but was also tying very well to Captain America's first movie, which was set 100 years prior. So. It's great, yeah.
You almost don't even need to watch Avengers or any of the other wider context. You could watch Captain America 1 and 2, and it works. Like, it's a really great follow-on to that first film. Even though it's a different time zone, different sort of character motivations, different complete style of film, it works really well as a sequel, and I love that. So
it's really good. Yeah, perfect.
Top marks to them. And then we've obviously got our first pick, our number
the
one.
GOAT. The absolute GOAT of the MCU. Genuinely.
Yeah.
Like... This movie, at the time, like in the MCU, it's unparalleled to the rest of these movies.
Absolutely, yeah, I adore it. I think the reason this one was so good. And we're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy, by the way, for those who
we're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy.
I hadn't clocked. The thing that's so good about this film is when it came out, it was a massive risk. It was completely like an unknown entity from the comics. It wasn't well known, and what they managed to do is adapt it in such a way that creates such an immediate connection to it. James Gunn, my man, I have praised James Gunn to the nth degree for his work in the DC universe so far, and his work on the Suicide Squad, which is a brilliant film. You should watch it, Cooper. And obviously his work on the live-action Scooby-Doo films, how could we forget? He is a phenomenal director and writer and just a talent behind the camera and in front of the camera as well. And I'm always excited to see what he does. When this came out, I sort of just immediately connect with it. It's so different and refreshing. It's like, I'm not a big fan of high-concept sci-fi stuff. I'm really not. I like Star Wars, but I've never been a big Star Trek fan. I like Doctor Who, but I've never been a big Star Trek fan, right? There's certain things, popular stuff doesn't always grip me in if it's sci-fi, But with this, I was like completely sold immediately. I got all the technology, felt kind of like Marvel-y, but it was in space, it was aliens, it was completely new, it was completely refreshing, completely different types of characters, completely different types of backgrounds, reintroducing Thanos properly, all of these elements coming together, just beautiful. The prison break sequence is incredible, the love story, the soundtrack, the music in this film. I was going to say, you
have to mention the music.
Where you literally, they cooked in every department here, and they did not leave any crumbs. I forgot to say where they ate, but never mind.
It's number one. I've not heard of Guardians of the Galaxy before this, which I love it already. I love it already.
Yeah,
it's different. It's Marvel comedy, but it's a lot of Marvel comedy, but it's done so well.
It's like Marvel comedies is such an umbrella term, though. I think it's James Gunn comedy, and James Gunn comedy is fucking funny. So crack on.
And it's because obviously what I'm saying is Marvel was kind of starting to do the comedy thing, whereas this was this just rocketed it and did it so well, doing funny superhero movies whilst also still having the grit and the realism, having it separated to the MCU, having it feel separated to the MCU, but it's still an integral part to the MCU is so well done. You don't need all these different references. It's set quite far away from anything else we've seen.
But Guardians works really nicely because of that whole thing. It is so disconnected, and I think that works to its
all the
benefit.
Characters are you can love all the characters. All the characters are great.
Absolutely.
Amazing castings for all of them. All incredible.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single one out of place. Great to see some Doctor Who rep and Karen Gillan, of course.
Yeah. Nebula. Great.
Casting Josh Brolin as Thanos, massive move for this film.
Yeah.
That's the first appearance of Josh Brolin as Thanos.
Yeah.
Peter Quill, of course, played by Chris Pratt, who
My Super Mario,
my Garfield, hates Mondays, loves lasagnas.
Dave Bautista.
Again, great
Drax.
casting as well. I mean, he's a phenomenal actor, and he's
so good.
Yeah, Bradley
Vin
Cooper.
Diesel is Groot.
Do we really praise Vin Diesel for anything?
I am Groot. Great line.
Great line. Delivered it.
Those
with his heart.
that we are Groot at the end is so good. So heartfelt. We are Groot at the end. It's true. It's a great moment.
Vin Diesel did fuck all, right? Let's be fair.
Yeah, but still, he recorded "I Am Groot" a few different times, a few different voice tones.
Yeah, I think it's and then obviously Bradley Cooper, who is Rocket.
It's Rocket. Yeah,
who is brilliant. Let's just say that now. He's incredible.
Rocket is and Bradley Cooper is an amazing actor. Mm-hmm. So, but for me, the most is the music. I bought this album. You know what? I own on my phone Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. When I remember watching it, I remember going to see it, and on the same day I was at a family gathering, right? And I bought the album, and the entire time of the family gathering, I had one headphone in, and I had the album on repeat.
So what are you meaning, that the soundtrack or the score?
The soundtrack, like the actual, like basically Peter Quill's
awesome mix.
Yes, because you could buy Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, which was basically his awesome mix, or the music that was used, like the music that was licensed for the movie.
Right.
And I bought that album with all of them in and just listened to it on repeat.
Well, yeah, and let's give credit to the score as well, which is
fucking
brilliant.
Yeah.
The main Guardians theme, which was composed for this film, is probably one of the best group team-up themes. I mean, obviously you can't really beat the Avengers one, but actually I think this one comes pretty close. Like, I get quite excited when I hear it. It's a shame they didn't play it more in Guardians 3, but I think it's a gorgeous bit of music, and the songs in this film are just incredible. Like the use of, I think it awakened a whole new generation of fans of old music again. And for me, that's my entire music taste, and I love that, to hear some of that, to hear a bit of David Bowie, Pina Colada.
I love Pina Colada.
Hooked on a Feeling.
So good.
So many great songs in there.
Yeah. Like, I know those songs. Like, it's sad. Like, this was what you were saying. Like, this awakened me to old music. And a lot of these songs, I'll be like, if I hear it, I'll be like, oh, I remember from Guardians.
But that's not a bad thing. It's also, like, it's a way, it's not a thing to be embarrassed about because you heard it from a film. Like, I said before, my entire music taste comes from my emotional connection to something in a TV show or film. If I like a bit of music, I like artists, right? I do like artists, and I do like their discographies, but for me, like, discovering new music comes from watching a TV show, comes from watching films, and having a sort of visual connection to something. And that's the same with this. It's like when I think of Hooked on a Feeling, I think of Guardians. Every time.
It's something for me with Peggy and Captain America's song and Steve Rogers' song.
Yeah, of course.
For me, like, I love that song now, but that's because of the emotional connection that I have with what
it's
it is
harder because you associate it with something that makes you feel emotional.
Yeah,
and that's like interesting, and it's the same with a bunch of stuff. The only one from this I don't associate with Guardians is Spirit in the Sky.
I do.
I love the song. Yeah. Great song. I remember hearing the Gareth Gates version of Spirit in the Sky when I was a kid, and I think that one is forever burned into my brain.
Yeah,
Gareth Gates and the Kumars. Ever seen it?
No.
Unbelievable. It's fantastic. We'll watch it after this podcast recording. But I think the music is incredible in this film, and it's
chef's
stunning.
Kiss for
Guardians. It is chef's kiss. Honestly, is one of the best MCU films, full stop. I think out of all the ones we've talked about in Phase 1 and 2, this is at the top for me.
What you were saying about Captain America being one of the best trilogies, I think Guardians is also one of the best trilogies, if not the best trilogy of the MCU.
I agree.
I think it genuinely has the potential to be the best. I think it is the best trilogy.
I think I'm with you there. I don't think I said Captain America in terms of relation to like Iron Man and Thor and all that, but Guardians, completely agree with you. Guardians is absolutely the best.
I genuinely don't know if it's even close. Like, it's just so unparalleled when it comes to
100%.
The MCU. Like the all three movies, which we'll get to when we get to them, but all three movies are great. Yeah. Guardians, I have so much. I remember going to see it in cinemas, and I remember it being like revolutionary. I remember it just being like, I just remember it being like I keep saying the word euphoric. It's my new word.
No, go for it.
It was like euphoric. It was like a revolution. It was like, as much as I'd seen previous Marvel movies, and I've said, like, I remember watching them, Guardians of the Galaxy was my start for the MCU. Guardians of the Galaxy, where I was like, I am locked in from here onwards.
Because they're superheroes, but they're just aliens. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I could nearly safe to say that after Guardians, I've seen most of the Marvel movies in cinemas when they've released post Guardians.
Right, you trusted the process from that.
Yeah, like Marvel Phase 3 onwards is like when I properly started MCU. And like I'm saying, I've seen the previous ones. I've seen some of them in cinemas, but Guardians was like I am here for this.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm with you. Honestly, I think it's absolutely fair enough. I do want to ask a little bit of a controversial question going off the back of this. And I know we'll talk about the other Guardians films in other reviews. How do you sort of rank the trilogy, do you think?
How do I rank the trilogy? This is
hard, isn't it?
Purely off rip. And when we get to Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I'm going to rewatch all three. I'm deciding I'm going to rewatch all three Guardians.
I'm going to rewatch, yeah.
Right now, off rip, because I remember when I first watched the movie, 3, 1, 2. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 first, then Guardians of the Galaxy 1, and then Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah. Okay. Fair, yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2 wouldn't be high. The only ones that would change are 1 and 3, depending on rewatch.
Really?
Yeah.
I think you'll be surprised by 2.
I know. Don't get me wrong. I don't dislike 2. I used to. When I first watched it, I didn't like it.
Me too.
And then when I've rewatched it, I actually loved it.
It's such a good film.
It's such a good movie. I just don't like it as much as, like, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 has a lot of nostalgia for me, and also I think it's such a good movie and I love it. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 has, like, the emotion and the impact and the hit, and especially in the kind of MCU time that we're in at the moment, it's like the diamond in the rough. It's like you finding this. It's like this gem. And I remember watching it, and I remember coming out with being like, it's truly one of the best MCU movies I've seen. Period. Like it's on that level. So right now, I'd say 3, 1, 2. On rewatch, the only ones that would shift are 1 and 3, because I know for a fact I like 3 over 2.
Oh well, you know what? Fair play. Yeah, love that. I'd probably agree with you, to be honest. I need to rewatch 3. As I said, I've only seen it once.
Yeah, I haven't seen it once.
But it's the only one I've been tempted to sort of rewatch. Yeah, and I would. I'd be very happy to watch it again. I think it's a great film, and it's a great trilogy. What do you think of Phase 2 overall in comparison to Phase 1?
I think I prefer it over Phase 1 because I think it's the start of something beautiful.
Yeah, it's more, isn't it? It's starting to be braver with what it's doing.
Yes.
There's more experimenting going on. Guardians is a massive risk. Winter Soldier's very stylistic. Ant-Man is very new. Iron Man 3 is very, like, more of a character piece than what the other films were. And I think there's a lot of interesting elements in these that stick out beautifully. Yeah,
and I think it's like you're saying, it's starting to do something new. It's starting to branch out, and I think this is where the threads of the MCU, like, they tease it in Phase 1. This is where the proper Infinity Saga starts. This is where those threads start to spread out. This is where those little connections start to happen. This is where the Infinity Stones start to get dropped.
Start to get brave with it, and then they introduce Thanos, and it's a bigger thing. And I love that, and I'm really happy with, like, where it went. I think for me, I was never a massive Marvel fan, but this was probably the most I was. I think Guardians, especially around that time, really got me into it, like, massively. I was obsessed with Guardians of the Galaxy when it came out, but I wasn't that bothered about the superhero stuff on Earth that much. I didn't really care for the characters that much. Whereas, like, Guardians felt something, like, the other Marvel heroes felt like something that I should know, that there's so much information about, but I didn't know, so I didn't care. Whereas Guardians, I felt like I knew nothing about it. I didn't know any cultural significance around it, so I could just enjoy it as a new thing, and I thought it was brilliant. It was so good.
I'm excited for Phase 3. It's like I said, out of all the phases, Phase 1's the one I'm least attached to.
Yeah.
Phase 3 I'm very interested to look at and to do, because I think Phase 3 is, like, to be honest, I think Phase 3 might have some of my favourite Marvel movies ever.
Interesting.
Phase 1 did.
Interesting.
Let's have a tease of what Marvel Phase 3 is.
Yeah, what is in Phase 3? Go through
Let's have a look. Marvel Phase 3, that is tiny, hang on. Marvel Phase 3 states that it is That's not a. That's a weird ass list.
Just list
Captain
the
America. Captain America: Civil War.
Yes.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yes.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Yes.
Black Panther.
Yeah.
Thor: Ragnarok.
Yes.
And then that's when we start to get onto like Ant-Man the Wasp, Infinity War, Endgame, Captain Marvel, like that kind of thing at the back end.
Cool. That's excellent. Yeah, love that. Exciting.
I'm very excited for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm buzzing for that. I think that's going to be really good, and I'm very excited to see. Yeah, I haven't talked about those films in a long time, so I'll be excited to kind of revisit them and talk about what my sort of ranking of those films will be. I don't even know yet. I need to sort of have a think about that. Maybe rewatch a couple. I'm not sure, but I'm very excited for that.
There's some some really good ones in Phase 3 is big. Phase 3 is one of the bigger phases.
100%.
And I think a lot of the greatest. I think Phase 3 is where Marvel peaked. I think it's undoubtable.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that's where the biggest popularity started to come in, like the new characters. It was so good. But yeah, that's for another episode in the future.
I can't wait. It's going to be fun. We're going to talk about some even better Marvel films. I can definitely feel it getting better as we talk about them and reminiscing about these films.
You can see it, can't you? You can see
the progression.
Yeah.
I love Phase 1. As I said last time, it's cute.
Yeah.
Season 2. Phase 2 is like showing like some more experimentation, and then Phase 3 is the one with the sauce.
Yeah. The sauce, it does have the sauce. It has auras, I keep saying.
Talking of having the sauce, I think you've got some sauce to give me today, haven't you?
Actually, very ironic that you mentioned sauce.
Is it?
Kind of.
Is it ironic?
Welcome to Just News. We'll see.
For those who don't know what Just News is, by the way, every week we tell each other a little funny story. A little news story that's been in the press recently, or maybe not so recently. In this case, I've heard very recently.
Recently.
Yeah, we sort of tell it to the other person and we kind of react to it. This week it's Cooper telling me one of his little funny stories, which I have no idea what to expect.
Funny story.
I can't wait to sort of just be baffled and criticise it as I always do, because these stories that you find are just fucking ridiculous.
So, from Sky News once again.
Sky News, lovely.
On Thursday, the 13th of June, 2024, at 22 minutes past 5 in the UK.
Wow.
Joey Chestnut, 16-time hot dog eating champion,
Wonderful.
Banned from event for signing deal with vegan company.
You're joking. Actually, signing with a vegan company, I mean, the hints were there. His name is Joey Chestnut.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's not Joey fucking Pork, is it? Anyway.
Joey Pork. Holding the world record for the most hot dogs eaten in 10 minutes.
Oh, I can't wait.
Joey Chestnut has won the Nathan's famous 4th of July contest 16 times, but he will have to miss out on this year's event over a row about him signing a brand deal with Impossible Foods.
You know what? I'm telling you now, I'm so fucking excited. I presume you've read this.
I've skimmed read it.
So you know how many he did in 10 minutes?
Yes, I've got it. It's literally here.
Right, I'm going to try and guess.
Okay,
because
I'll
don't know.
Do you want me to get to it and then you can guess, or do you want to guess it now? Guess it now and then I'll start reading.
The thing is, I have no idea how many you could eat in 10 minutes. Is it just the hot dogs or is it the buns as well?
It's just the hot dogs, I believe.
In 10 minutes is a long time. I would have thought you'd done like a minute, because then you could just do like that.
It is American, by the way.
Yeah, I know, but like 10 minutes is like, it's not even like you haven't got, it's like you got time to slow down then. Like, how quickly are you inhaling those?
It is just hot dogs, I can confirm.
Just the hot dogs,
not buns, just the hot dogs.
That makes more sense. I would say probably
in 10 minutes, in 600 seconds.
So that's a lot of time. That's a lot of time. You don't need that much time. You'd be sick.
But I think that's the thing, though. How many can you do without being sick?
Right. You don't need 10 minutes.
I assume you can't. No, because I assume you can't be sick. Like, you get disqualified. Like, how many could you eat comfortably in 10 minutes and not vomit?
My guess is going to be, oh God, what even would be a sensible answer to that? 169, lol.
Okay.
That might be, actually, I might have overshot it there.
You have very much overshot it.
Oh, fuck, have I? Oh,
Joey
69 then.
Close. Joey Jaws Chestnut, 40, is the reigning champion of Nathan's famous 4th of July hot dog eating contest.
I love the photo
having won
views, by the way.
but one of the competitions every year since 2007.
Yeah.
In 2021, In the 2021 contest, he ate 76 hot dogs. Oh, sorry, hot dogs and buns. I was wrong. 76 hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes. One of the 55 competitive eating world records he holds.
Hang on. Right. What the fuck? No, because 76 hot dogs anyway is a lot of hot dogs, right?
With buns, though.
With
that is just
buns.
a lot of stodge.
No, that man is actually troubled. He shouldn't be competing again. That's awful. That's horrible. What the fuck what are you doing?
Last year, he fell short of his own world record, but still put away an impressive 63 sausages. He blamed his performance on stormy weather.
Right, yeah. Oh, fuck off. Sorry. I can't bear this sort of... I mean, I hope he was joking, but my God, it's like, yeah. It's a bit rainy out, a little bit grim weather. Couldn't eat as many sausages. Mate, 63 hot dogs and buns is still impressive, bro. Don't blame it on the storm. Just blame it on your stomach, baby. Let's go.
But after signing an endorsement deal with Impossible Foods, a plant-based meat company, Chestnut will miss out on the annual New York event. It's because Nathan's Famous prohibits eaters from endorsing competitor hot dog brands.
Wow.
The contest's governing body, Major League Eating, MLE, there's actually a Major League Eating, like literally, said...
America.
It added in a statement, "We are devastated to learn that Joey Chestnut has chosen to represent a rival brand that sells plant-based hot dogs rather than competing in the 2024 Nathan's Famous 4th of July hot dog eating contest. MLE and Nathan's went to great lengths in recent months to accommodate Joey and his management team, agreeing to the appearance fee and allowing Joey to compete in a rival unbrand hot dog eating contest on Labor Day. For nearly 2 decades, we have worked under the same basic hot dog exclusivity provisions. However, it seems that Joey and his managers have prioritized a new partnership with a different hot dog brand over our long-term relationships."
Yeah, good for him. He's slaying the day away. He knows what he's doing. I see your joke was better than mine, mate. That was class. He's getting that bread. Very good. Yeah, he's got his dogs out.
He's got his dogs out, bro's taking those bro's taking those plant-based glizzies.
Glizzy overload.
No.
Bro really said
That's
glizzy
brain
overload.
rot.
Yeah, that is brain rot. I think it's crazy. I think that's crazy that this is what the news article is, because, like, good for him. He's allowed to nearly 2 decades. Yeah, maybe he wants to eat some different hot dogs. Maybe he wants to. Yeah, exactly.
The question is, how much do you reckon he got paid for becoming an endorsement of these plant-based hot dogs?
A lot of bloody money, I tell you.
Yeah,
a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Must be more than those prize funds.
Exactly. Got to be, innit?
Bro, it's a win-win situation.
Yeah.
You get a bag and you don't have to compete.
Do you think it's like one of those sort of like the Great North Run in Newcastle, where you sort of, you cross the finish line and you get like a sticker,
£1,000 and a Marky's voucher?
Fucking hell! What you got? What in today's climate?
What, £1,000 a Marky's voucher?
£1,000 Marks and Spencer's voucher?
No, £1,000 and a Marky's voucher.
Oh.
The Marky's voucher only like a tenner.
Even still, what's the point then? If someone wanted to go to Marky's, it's fucking £1,000 to cover it.
But like, that'd probably get you like 2 hot dogs in Marky's.
Oh, you're
Marks and Spencer's.
I'm thinking the clothes Marks and Spencer's. I'm not thinking like.
Oh, you're not thinking like the.
You're thinking someone's going to spend £1,000 on Percy fucking Pigs.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay.
I do not have a contract with MLA or Nathan's, and they are looking to change the rules from past years as it relates to other partners. I can write this on social media. MLA's event organizer, George Shear.
No,
I did not read this. I did not read this.
Whoa. That's crazy.
I did not read this bit.
Hang on. He literally the same name as me, bar the last 2 letters.
Oh, 2 letters. This is you.
And he's the Major League Eating event organizer, George Sheard. Basically. I think that's quite rude. Are you trying to? Is this some sort of wake up call for me, Cooper? You just thought
genuinely, I've not read this.
I can't believe you've not read this one.
I'm saying it might just be you. It might be you in a different timeline where maybe you've eaten too many hot dogs and you now can't see the last 2 letters. Like maybe it's that. Maybe that's what it is. It's something I don't know. You never know. Timelines might shift.
That's unbelievable. What are the chances of that? That's crazy.
Honestly, hand on heart, put my hands up. I didn't read this far in the article and did not see this person's name.
That's crazy.
Wait, hang on. The event organizer George Sheard said the dispute came down to exclusivity and explained it would be like Michael Jordan saying to Nike, "I'm going to represent Adidas too."
Right? Would it though? Yeah,
It's
would
just
it? Would
not
it though?
though, is it?
Would it though? Because Michael
just
Jordan's
not.
not like chowing down dogs, is he?
Yeah.
Right? Let's be fair.
Yeah.
Fuck me, it's not the same, is it? Eating a few hot dogs. I just can't get over.
The name.
Can we just take a pause? We did scroll past the video, and I kind of want to see it. And I know that that's not very helpful for the podcast listening audience, but I really want to see Joey Chestnut scoff hot dogs. I want to see how he's getting them all down.
Oh my god, there's like a WWE belt.
Yeah, hang
A
on.
winning belt.
Let's. Are you playing it? Are you watching it?
Wait, do you want to play it at the same time?
Yeah, can do. Let's go from the beginning. Are you ready? Go
Okay,
on.
yeah.
3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
Start. What's? Oh, he has got a WWE
Is this music?
belt. I'm not listening to the music.
Is this the music you used in your Jodie Whittaker video?
What do you mean?
The intro, the
Oh my
no,
god,
it's
it is. No, it is.
It is.
It is. It is. It's Baba O'Reilly by The Who. Oh, this is crazy.
Yes. Bro,
I feel like
not to
yeah.
stereotype, bro is thin.
Yeah. I
Bro.
think there's something going on there. I think he's
What?
got a pipe.
Do you reckon?
I
Think
think
he just shits out hot dogs like whole. He doesn't even process.
Yeah, I think just straight out. I think it's coming out the back end. I think he's got some sort of like real clever. We don't have to keep watching this. I think he's got some real clever sort of like cleaning process that makes him just sort of his body just process everything really quickly. Maybe he puts tea up his arse and it just comes straight through.
Anyway,
Oh no, we can't end it on that again. No, there's got to be more to add to this.
I still can't believe the
there
George Shear thing. Genuinely, I actually can't believe it. I can't.
I'm gonna try and find an article next time, which is like Cooper England.
Cooper England instead of Cooper Britain.
Yeah,
Cooper British, something like that.
Cooper
Britain
British.
Cooper. I've never told you the stories when, for some reason, obviously Cooper's a very common surname. There are on multiple occasions where I have gone to, like, I went to a bank. I went to open a bank account, and they thought my name. They were like, "What's your first name?" I said Cooper. They went, "No, your first name." I was like, "It's Cooper." And there's been times when I've been over the phone, they've been like, "Oh, I'm Britton Cooper." I'm like, "No, it's Cooper Britton." They were like, "What? Cooper's a surname?" I'm like, "No, my first name is not Britton." Like,
I love how people try and question you on this. It's like, it's my
Exactly.
fucking name, dickhead.
Britton Cooper sounds like it sounds like just some like
Go on.
very like awful like British like elitist kind of.
Right, yeah, you're talking to someone who named their social media profile GB Sheard. Look how well that's fucking
That's
aged.
true, actually. That is true.
I can't help that my middle name is Baden. I am like stuck here now with this username, which I can't really change because I'm sort of synonymous with it. GB
I'm
Sheard,
Cooper-
without realising now GB News is bloody started. People think I'm fucking Brexiteer.
Cooper GB. I'm Cooper G Britton.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. Crazy.
Anyway.
Anyway.
No, that's... We talked about the... You know what? I feel like we're treading this over again. I feel like we've done this before. I'm getting a bit of deja vu. I'm sure maybe like episode 1, 2, we talked about this.
I think we might have, because I think I might have
like,
realised
you
I'm
were
also GB.
You're talking about GB and then Britain.
Possibly, yeah.
And then me
Yeah.
saying GB Sheard. God, we're so fucking unoriginal, aren't we? We can't come up
We
with any
are.
good
It's
ideas.
crazy.
Anyway,
Crazy.
thanks for
I know,
watching.
look at us
Come-
recycling Marvel content again.
God,
Anyway.
oh my god, this entire
Thank
episode.
you very much
DMA.
for watching. If you've enjoyed, if you're watching on YouTube, please leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know
If you're not
your
watching on
favourite Marvel
YouTube,
Phase 2 movie.
If you're not watching on YouTube,
Yeah.
go on our YouTube channel. Go and
And
subscribe.
head over.
Notifications on.
If you're listening on Spotify, please leave us a hearty 5-star review. It really helps.
Does.
If you're listening on any podcast, hey, go and check out the other platforms. Go check out YouTube. Go see our beautiful faces.
That's a good idea. Yeah, if you listen to this episode in its entirety on one platform, go and listen
No,
to it on all of
just
our other
go-
platforms as well.
Just go, just pop over,
Spice
see
it
our
up, mate.
faces, see how great we are.
Yeah.
Hit subscribe, stay there. You know, you never know. In the future, you might want to watch a video. You might want to jump back and
You
forth.
might want to do that. You might
Make sure
want
you
to
check out TikTok, Instagram,
Yeah.
Twitter, all the socials. We love socials. We love TikTok clips. We did a whole episode on well, not a whole episode
Fucking
on
hell,
TikTok, but
Cooper,
YouTube.
you're doing it again.
But thank you very much for listening and watching, and we will see you next week.
Am I not here next week? What's happening?
Nope, you're not here next week. It's just me.
Just Cooper.
Just me. Just
Not
you.
ever.
Just Cooper.
Fucking hell. Can't wait
Anyway,
for that to be the
bye-bye.
most viewed episode.